You guys ever think about how many holes a straw has?
Two.
No, because like it's one big hole though. It's like one. It's like
Well,
like a tunnel, you know. So it's like one hole that just goes over there. I mean,
wait,
it's
does
just a
does that
tunnel,
mean
I guess.
people only have one hole because your mouth and butthole go
No.
basically?
No,
You
you got
see, I
your
remember the last
holes,
time
his
Aqua
holes.
brought this up, and here's the thing, by technicality, a hole is just a opening within a surface area that leads inside of something. So, one hole, just because it is a cylindrical object and both holes are facing each other, they are two separate holes as they are two ways to enter into said object. So a straw has two holes.
But you're not entering anything.
Technicality, however, whether something goes
Hold on,
in
hold
or
on, hold on.
something
If
comes
you use
out,
a hole
as
punch,
long as there's an
if you
entrance and
use a hole
exit
punch
point,
on a piece
those
of
are two
paper, is that
holes.
one or two holes?
When you use a
If
hole
you use
punch
a
on
hole punch
paper,
on a piece of paper, is that one or two holes?
two holes, one in the front, one in the back.
If you use a whole, if you use a whole fruit punch bowl, how
On
many
your
holes?
penis.
What do you think, Cars? Cars, if you punch a hole in a piece of paper with a hole punch, is it one or two holes?
He said this too.
You know what?
No, I said cars, not coffee. Coffee's
Oh.
By technicality, it would be one hole, only because you can't really enter into something due to how thin it is. If it was,
Then what's the thickness limit to make it
it
have to
will,
be two
it
holes?
has to have the capacity to contain volume.
I mean, there is a tiny, tiny amount of volume that a piece of paper can contain. A piece
True,
of
but
paper
it's
is
so
not
it's so
zero thick.
little that you would consider it on the less than category.
Then what is your limit
The limit
as to
would be
how
until
thin
it
it has
can
to be?
fill a sufficient amount of materials that
I have
is
no clue what you
used
just
within
said
a.
because it's retard over there.
It has to
Okay.
be sufficient enough to where it has a technical functional use. What that use may be is determinant, but it has to have some use. If
What
it's simply
kind of
just the hole,
use do you need?
well, simple. In order to store volume.
Okay, but like, what about a wedding ring? Does that have one or two holes?
Wedding ring. Ooh. Well, by technicality, it's a, hmm. That's actually a good one. I need to think about that one.
Now this is intelligent conversation.
I mean, it also depends on this actual design, because the ring wasn't exactly designed to store capacity, or to store volume. It was simply meant to be worn, so by technicality, it only has one hole.
So now it matters about what the object is for.
True, it has to depend on if it carries well, technically it carrying volume also depends on what it is used for. So in the end, what it's used for is simply the main reason.
But these all have the same purpose, like punching a hole in a sheet of paper, or wedding rings, or straws are all meant to have
Well,
something
pretty
to go
much. I
through
mean, it's
said
two
hole.
separate purposes. I mean, if you want water to be able to go into something and go out to something, you would need two holes, not one hole.
What about a filter?
I don't know that much about filters.
No, like just like a filter, like a coffee filter.
I don't
It's just like
understand
a
coffee
net
filters.
full of holes
Well, I
that
mean,
liquid passes from one side to the other, but that's
Well,
like
I
one
mean,
hole because it's
it's
flat
full
like
of
a piece of paper.
holes, so it has multiple holes, not because they're
I
layered on
want
top of
to
each
leave
other,
so
but
bad,
because there's a lot
but
of
my
holes.
ADHD is so focused on what you're talking about right now, I just can't.
God
What
damn
kind
it,
of
Kevin.
holes? You like
So,
holes?
in short, there's a lot of holes, so it has a lot of holes because it is used
That's
to
what she said,
dispense a
number one.
liquid. And why would she say that?
It's a lot of holes.
Okay.
Um, no, like, here's what I'm saying though. I'm not debating how many
My phone's
holes
at
a coffee filter
69%.
has. Funny.
Nice.
I'm not debating how many holes a coffee filter has. What I'm saying is that, like, it's like if we were to take one of the holes in the coffee filter, would that count as one or two holes? Because it's flat like a sheet of paper, but it is for the purpose of liquid passing through it.
Well, in short, it would have multiple holes.
Yeah, but does each individual, like, perforation through the filter count as one or two?
One.
Why?
Well, it's pretty much, and instead of being like a tube or something where liquid needs to go in and out, it is simply liquid just falling through, slipping through what is there. It's kind of like, ventilation.
But ventilation ducts have multiple holes.
Exactly.
But that would be the opposite.
No, because the coffee filter also has multiple holes. But one hole doesn't count as two for either of them.
Yes, but you're saying one perforation counts as one hole.
Yeah.
So is it not semantics as to how thick a material or an object has to be before each perforation is considered two holes?
I mean, it depends on its situation. It depends what it's used for. Because, I mean, take for example, if you're fucking someone in the ass, you're not exactly fucking their throat, are you? Then if you go to the coffee filter, it's like, obviously, bigger thing can't pass through, but liquid can, because liquid is able to slip through tiny hole.
See, but that's about how wide the hole, not how thick the material is.
Yeah, well, I already said it. It's no longer just about the thickness, but it is a quality that you can't ignore, depending on what it is used for. In short, you can't have specifically one specific thing that categorizes, each whole to being dependent on what it is. It depends on if it's meant to contain volume, what its function is, and overall it's like design. That's when you can determine whether it's one or two holes. In short, you have to go through the specifics and categorize it one by one by one by one. No matter what, they'll fall into different categories. Because you can't apply every single thing in the same line. Because by that logic, a shirt has 4 holes. 2 for your sleeves, 1 for your head, and 1 for your torso. Now, want to get into the details of it. Depending on its fabric, it is stitched together. You stretch it, there's very, very tiny microscopic holes. Not microscopic, but tiny. And they exist. However, that could be said for any opening. Yeah, the holes between the threads. That's technically a hole, but it's not the main hole.
Well, if we want to talk about a hole getting smaller, how small does a hole have to be? Because technically atoms never touch.
Exactly. So no matter what, anything has holes, and that's exactly why, Your Honor, when I punched that man, I technically didn't make contact with him.
I wasn't expecting that. Oh my word.
Wait a minute, does that mean that the pictures Zombie sent to me are technically him showing me his holes?